Hello, welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys watch random movies and then talk about them. And with us today, we have the amazing, the incredible, the Pinocchio to my not Pinocchio, my Geppetto, Kyle Mulford.
I would say I'm glad to be here, but my nose is growing. No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad to be here.
Sadden. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing good. It's been a long time since we've recorded.
I just hope your performance isn't wooden today.
No, thank you, Waldorf and Statler.
You're welcome. I give those jokes out, no strings attached.
Okay, let's move beyond that. Those are my kind of jokes. What are you doing? Should we get into it?
Well,
I've got a lot of movies.
This is one of our mini episodes where we talk called What You Watchin'. So I guess I'll let you go first, Kyle, since you said you got a lot. So what you watching?
Well, I've been working through some more Oscar movies since, as of this recording, the Oscars are airing this coming Sunday. So I finally watched No Time to Die, and I really liked it. It capped off the Daniel Craig era of Bond, so like it's kind of bookended. Daniel Craig is his own thing now. There are some choices I'm still not sure about, but overall I really liked the movie. I could do a whole podcast on this movie, honestly. There's so much to say about it. But if you're a fan of Bond and you're a fan of Daniel Craig, I think other than a few choices that it made that I'm still just not sure if, I didn't hate, but I also didn't love. Really good way to end the series, and I think it works.
Nice.
Then I moved on to The Lost Daughter, the Oscar-nominated one with Olivia Colman. And this was about a lady who goes on vacation, and she's by herself, and she kind of gloms onto this family that's vacationing there. There's a whole bunch of this family, and then she just starts acting weird, and there's flashbacks to her younger as a young mom, and I don't know if I really like this. I love Olivia Colman, but this cast had Jessie Buckley in it too. I like her, but I don't know. There's like, it just went into a weird place at the end that it didn't make it. And there were some things that they kind of started exploring, but just kind of dropped in the movie. And I don't know if I could say I was a huge fan of this, unfortunately. Then I watched Being the Ricardos. Lucy, I'm home. This was an interesting, just kind of, takes place over the course of like a week or so. Mm-hmm. It's taking place over the week when it was in the papers that Lucy was a member of the Communist Party. So they were thinking the show was going to get canceled. And, there was also a thing about, him having an affair, Ricardo, is it Ricky Ricardo?
Desi
Lou Studios. It was an interesting look into that period of life for them, and kind of a behind the scenes at preparing for an episode of I Love Lucy. So that was really cool. But then they did this weird thing where some of the people that were part of that week, they did it like documentary style, where they went to like another actor or like playing the older version of them, reminiscing about this. And I was like, I don't think this needed a documentary style. I think it could have held on its own as just a story, a week in the life of that choice. Just kind of, I just didn't care for it, but it was an interesting movie. I don't know if the casting was fantastic, even though I love Nicole Kidman and Javier Bardem. I think they did good enough. But it's an interesting look, and I would recommend it.
Cool.
Then I watched West Side Story on HBO Max.
Which one?
The new Oscar-nominated one from Steven Spielberg.
Not the old.
I mean, the other one was Oscar-nominated too, but
the other one was Oscar-winning, I believe.
Yes, it was. I really liked this. It was so good, so gorgeous to look at. The cinematography was amazing. I have seen online that like a critique is that it was almost a carbon copy. It kind of was. However, it was so pretty to look at that, like, I don't know. I just dug the hell out of this movie, and I really liked this remake. Who knew Steven Spielberg could do a musical?
Yeah, and who knew that it's cool when you cast Latinx characters with Latinx actors instead of Italians.
Right. Yeah. The only thing that stood out in this movie was I like Ansel Elgort enough, but he didn't bring much to the role in this. And it was funny because I watched this with the whole family, and even my kids, while we were watching the movie, I wasn't even saying anything. My kids were both like, that guy who plays the lead he has like no emotions. He's kind of wooden in this. I think he's the weakest part of the movie, unfortunately. But overall, really solid movie. And if you're a fan of the original, I would actually say watch it, because they even gave Rita Moreno a song that the character she played didn't sing in the original, so there was a little bit of variation in there, but it really worked, and I was really glad that they gave it to her.
I guess the biggest reason I haven't watched that one is just kind of like, why? Like, I already really liked the first one, which did so much right.
I will tell you that I'm usually the same way, and this one does a lot of the same, that it didn't change much up, but I got to tell you, it was really good.
I mean, I thought they were at least going to like update the time period, as it was supposed to be Romeo and Juliet for a more modern setting.
Yeah. Yeah, so they didn't really update anything, but I don't know why it worked. It shouldn't have worked because the original is so great, but it worked.
Cool.
Then on Netflix, I watched The Power of the Dog. And I've learned that Jane Campion, her winning combination is putting a piano in her movie somewhere and showing the male lead's penis.
I was really hoping you were going to mention that regarding the piano.
So in this one, we got a piano and Benedict Cumberbatch's penis. This movie is so dull. I hated the piano. This movie was well acted. It was pretty to look at, but just there wasn't much to it. And I'm sure people will say, you just didn't get it. No, I got it. I just was bored.
Hey, that's okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I would recommend that one or not. Then I watched on HBO Max The Eyes of Tammy Faye with Jessica Chastain and Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield, who was in 3 Oscar-nominated movies this year. This one was interesting, following kind of the career of Tammy Faye and, you know, her life with Jim Baker. And it started with her as a little girl and went all the way till, you know, they got busted for using funds for their own profit and whatnot, like like all of those guys do, like Joel Osteen and Jim Baker. And
I'm surprised Joel Osteen hasn't been caught yet, but that's a story for another day.
Right. The whole thing, it almost makes it seem like we should have sympathy for her because she didn't know what was going on. I'm going, you're part of a multi-million-dollar church organization living in a giant house. You didn't know it was. You can only plead ignorance for so far.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was well acted, and it was an interesting look into their lives. Doesn't make their lives any better, and doesn't give me any sympathy for her or Jim Baker at all. But as a curiosity piece, I'd recommend it.
How were the costumes? I know it's a period piece.
What's that?
How were the costumes and the makeup?
I'm willing to bet they're probably, because they went so outlandish with the costumes, that that they'll probably win costume this year. So I guess we'll know if I was lying or not when people hear this, because this will be posted way after the Oscars.
Oh, absolutely.
Then I stepped away from the Oscar bait stuff for a minute and watched 1978's Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with Peter Frampton.
It's got a great soundtrack. Peter
Frampton and the Bee Gees, and an unhinged Donald Pleasance singing I want you so bad. I want you so bad.
Isn't George Burns in this too?
Yes, he is. Such a weird cast. And like the end of the movie is this bizarre conglomeration of people in the town that like weren't even in the movie, but there's like just all these different bands, and there's like Tina Turner, and I can't even think of. Just go look at the cast for this movie and look at who was in the crowd at the end, and you'll be like, what? Were they just like standing around and someone said, hey, you want to be in the end of this movie? Peter Frampton can't act. The Bee Gees can't act, but they could sing. This is such a weird, bizarre film. It's not a good film. It's one of those, it's not a good film, but it's a great film.
It's got a great soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a Aerosmith's most played Beatles cover. Now I'm drawing a blank on the name of it.
Wasn't that Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds?
No. That song was in here. My mind is blanking on me right now. But Earth, Wind, and Fire was in this movie.
Nice.
Yeah. So another one as a complete oddity from 1978. I'd say check it out once. Don't go into it expecting a good movie. It is not a good movie, but it is so bizarre it needs to be just seen once. Then we continued on showing our kids the Back to the Future series with Back to the Future Part 2. When I was younger, I rewatched Back to the Future 1 and 3 a lot. I think I saw Part 2 like a couple of times and never watched it again. It's better than I remember. I'll give it that. I like the stuff that when they go back to 1955 again, and then kind of the things that they did to show the stuff from the first movie in the background while they're in there watching it happen and everything. So it's kind of a cool movie. And I always kind of poo-pooed it as like the worst of the trilogy. When I was young, I just didn't care for it. And, you know, it came out when I was like 11 years old. And so maybe I just didn't appreciate it at the time. Still the weakest of the trilogy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But not as bad as I thought it was.
Back to the Future Part 2 probably has one of my favorite cliffhanger endings ever.
Yeah. And well, the funny thing is I liked it because I watched 3 enough that when I was watching 2, I was going, oh, I never realized because I never paid attention when I was younger that they filmed them at the same time. So they set up so much of 3 and 2. That was another thing I loved about 2 was all of the little drops of things that are like, here's what's going to happen in 3 if you're paying attention. So good storytelling there with kind of dropping all those little things in there in the previous movie. So if you haven't visited it in a while and you like 1 and 3, but you always thought this was the worst one, like a lot of people did, go back and revisit it.
So why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
It's make like a tree and leave. You sound like an idiot. Okay, then my wife and I continued on with our Disney watching that we actually started last spring. And we continued on with Captain America, the Winter Soldier. That was a good rewatch. That one really holds up. I dig the hell out of that movie. It was that movie in the Marvel universe that like was like, oh, wow. They're not making comic book movies anymore. They're making like, now it's like a spy thriller with comic book characters. And I think that was the beginning of seeing, oh, we're getting different types of movies within the comic book genre. So still holds up really well. And then speaking of holding up, we watched Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Both of them still make me laugh out loud. Both still worth watching. Both of them make you cry at the end.
Yep.
I was telling Carrie Ann, I said, who knew that Mr. Family would play 2 different animated characters in 2 different movies and make you cry with a 1 or 2 word sentence?
Nice.
Because he's the one who does "We are Groot," and then he also does Superman.
That's true.
It's like Vin Diesel making you cry in the animated characters. Both of those good stuff. Then I watched was it a Marvel adjacent movie because Chadwick Boseman is in it? I watched 21 Bridges from 2019 on Netflix. This is about a cop who there's a robbery gone wrong. There's drugs involved, and this cop gets involved, and the FBI wants to get in on it, and then he's like, no, give me a little bit of time. And it was on one of the islands of New York, and so they shut down the 21 bridges leading into the island to try and get the bad guys, and it was okay. It was pretty generic. That's it. If you're bored one night and just want like something that don't have to think too hard about, throw this one on. It's not a bad movie, but it's pretty generic. Then back to the Oscar noms, I watched Spencer from 2021 on Hulu, and this I gotta tell you, I get so tired of hearing Kristen Stewart, she's not just that sparkly vampire in that stupid movie. She's a really great actress. Try this movie. And then I go watch it. Like, she was amazing in this. I go watch it and it's like, she's still the same person. They're like, oh no, now she's great in this movie. You should watch this movie. Really, honestly, she's great. And you watch it, still the emotionless Kristen Stewart was just like, and then finally this one happens. I'm like, I'm going to watch it because it's one of the Oscar noms. This is the first time I've ever watched a Kristen Stewart movie where I was like, she wasn't too bad.
Nice.
So I think she did really well, but here's the caveat on that. As I watched she's still kind of a moody and withdrawn like she is in everything else. But then I watched clips of Princess Di and I was like, oh, she really was a very soft-spoken kind of retreats when she talks, like kind of like shies away and very soft-spoken. So I was like, oh, well, no wonder they chose Kristen Stewart. That's all she can do. So, but she did well with it. The movie itself, didn't care for. It was just, here's a Christmas weekend with Princess Di, and we all think she's crazy. Okay. I don't recommend it. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, I know this wasn't. I think it was the same director who. This is kind of like the second movie he did with the same basic thematic elements. The first one he did was Jackie, about Jackie Kennedy after the JFK assassination.
Oh, I can see that was the same director because that one was kind of like, again, Natalie Portman did a good job, but the movie was kind of
Not for Kyle.
Yeah, not for me. I don't remember that one being too terrible. I just really didn't care for Spencer at all. I was like, other than finally seeing a halfway decent performance from Kristen Stewart, I was like, there wasn't much here that had really interested me. So then we went back to Marvel with Avengers Age of Ultron on Disney Plus, and Avengers Age of Ultron is Iron Man creates Ultron so that we can have Vision in the Marvel Universe. So essentially, Avengers Age of Ultron, the entire movie is an MCU MacGuffin.
Next thing you're going to tell me is that the Infinity Stones don't really matter.
Right. At least the Infinity Stone is the MacGuffin within a movie that has a plot. Age of Ultron, the plot of the movie is a MacGuffin for the overall MCU. It's not a bad movie. It's a decent movie with some really good scenes in it, but it's literally the plot of the movie is a MacGuffin for the MCU. It is essentially to get us to the point where we have Vision in the MCU. That is the whole movie.
But don't forget Scarlet Witch.
Oh yeah, Scarlet Witch and the Vision.
And
which kind of go
by Quicksilver.
Yeah, we're like, we don't know what to do with him, so we'll just kill him off in the movie we kind of introduce him in. I know he was in a end scene of one of the other movies, but essentially introduced and killed off in the same movie.
That was probably the best one of the best inside jokes of WandaVision, though.
Yeah, I love when Quicksilver shows up in that. That was good. Yeah, Age of Ultron, decent movie with some cool moments.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched a crazy Nick Cage movie to spice things up on Blu-ray from 2021 called Prisoners of the Ghostland.
I was hoping it was Pig.
What's that?
I was hoping it was Pig.
Oh, I've already talked about that one. That's a good movie.
Okay.
Prisoners of the Ghostland, he plays this guy who robs a bank with another guy, and then he's put in prison, and then they get him out, and they're like, it's this weird mix between a samurai and a Western town, and there's a guy who kind of like has all the women as his like sex toys in there, and like he kind of leads this place, and everybody hates him, but he's got control of the whole place, and one of his daughters escapes, and he wants Nick Cage to go find him, so he puts him in a suit that has little bombs around his neck and on each arm and on each testicle.
Seems a tad overkill.
Yeah, and so then he has to go out, and he's got like a thing on his wrist that like all the little explosives will go off if he doesn't make it back in like 5 days. So he goes out to find her, and she's in this place called the Ghostland. It turns out there's like this, these ghosts there that are keeping people at bay and keeping them trapped in this town because there was some sort of like plant meltdown or something. It was really bizarre, but like it was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. It was one of those actually kind of fun movies with Nick Cage that's kind of weird and crazy and a a lot of fun. And this is one of those Nick Cage movies that I'd recommend you pop on if you're just looking for a fun time.
Have you seen the trailers for his next movie, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent?
Yes, and I want to see that so badly.
It's the perfect Nick Cage film.
Yes, I agree. Then we watched Ant-Man from 2015. That holds up well. Ant-Man gets a suit. I'm not going into these Marvel movies very much because I think I've talked about all of them and people know the Marvel movies. Then we went into Captain America Civil War. That one's still a lot of fun. That one is I think that one's the weakest of the 3 Captain America movies, and that's saying something because it's still awesome. That's saying something about the other 2 because I love the first one and Winter Soldier. And Civil War is really great too, and it's the weakest, and it's still really great.
I would argue Civil War is also known as Captain America 3, Iron Man 4.
Yes. Anyway, then this past weekend, I've got a friend who hasn't watched a lot of movies, and so like there was one time we were talking, and this was a couple years ago, and she said, "I've never seen Pulp Fiction." I was like, "What? You've never seen Pulp Fiction?" So then we bought her Pulp Fiction for a Blu-ray, and we finally just now gotten to watch it. She still had it in the package, and she still refused to watch it with anyone else because she's like, we'll watch it together.
Aww.
And so she came over with her husband, and then I watched with her and her husband and my wife. And then I found out that I was the only one in the room who had seen Pulp Fiction before.
My goodness.
I was like, what is happening in my life right now that I'm in the room with 3 adults who haven't seen Pulp Fiction? But we watched that, and I still love that one. There's some stuff that could have been left out. Like, I don't like the whole, and this is one of the things where everyone in the room was going, what are you making us watch? Because of the whole sex dungeon gimp scene, or gimp suit scene. And I'm just like, I'm even watching it going, I remember this movie distinctly, even though I haven't seen it in like 15 years because of the dialogue between Jules and Vince. And there's great dialogue in there because I don't always like everything that Quentin Tarantino does, but he does dialogue well. And so that's the stuff that I remember. And I did remember that scene, but I remembered it very little. And as I'm watching, I'm going, this has no reason to be in here. Like, absolutely none.
You can say
and
that
I kind
for
of
a
wish
lot
it.
of the movie.
What's that?
You could probably say that for a lot of the movie.
Yeah, except for this was such a just a gross scene that just didn't need to exist. Whereas like the other stuff, there's a lot that doesn't need to be there, but is great dialogue. And this scene was just like, I don't know what we're trying to get out of this. It's just gross and get us out of here, please. But other than that, like the Pulp Fiction still stands as one of my top 2 or 3 Quentin Tarantino films. So.
Yeah, I've kind of stopped watching Tarantino. He just kind of soured on. He's just not for me anymore.
Oh, I kind of agree. That's why Pulp Fiction, which was like his second movie, is still in my top is still his top tier because he's really gone downhill with me. And then I went back to Oscar noms with Don't Look Up on Netflix. This was fun. I liked it, but it was just essentially. There was no subtext in this movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was all text, and it was all bold face and underlined. Hey, this is what we think of all the people who were anti-vaxxers during the pandemic. It's like, and here's my representation of Trump, the president. I was like, it wears everything right on its sleeve. It does not leave anything to the imagination. You know exactly what they're saying in this movie.
Yep.
Not going to say I disagreed with much of it, but I still think it was like, oh, this is super heavy handed. But I thought it was okay. I'd recommend it. It was good, but sometimes it's a little too, I don't like when people are really subtle about their stuff, but like also when you go way too heavy handed, sometimes it can be a bit too much.
Yeah.
But anyhow, I'd recommend it still though. I did like it. I like what Adam McKay's been doing lately with his movies. I like this, and then The Big Short and stuff like that. Taking these, he's getting very political with this stuff and very talking about real life stuff, but then doing it in like just kind of a funny way.
From the director of Anchorman.
From the director of Anchorman, right? Yeah, he's really like gone a different direction here. But then I think that is it for me. So watched a lot of stuff. Some good stuff in there. Some not so good stuff, but hopefully there's some recommendations in there.
Yeah, at least you got some nice variety. Okay, now it's my turn. Woohoo! First, I watched The Lovebirds from 2019 with Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae. I believe this was a film made for Netflix where it's about a couple who are like going to a party, then like right as they break up, then they get stuck in this weird situation where they're framed for a murder they didn't commit, and they're on the run from the cops, and crazy shenanigans happen as they try to uncover this weird conspiracy.
How was this? Watching the trailers, I was like, that could be really funny or just really bad.
I had fun. It was really silly, but it really makes it work as the chemistry between the two leads. They are very fun and just like hanging out with them.
I like Kumail. I'd like to see more of him and stuff. So
they both have very good comedic timing. Next, I watched Medea's Big Happy Family.
Oh, back to the Madea universe, huh?
Yes, and the more working my way through the Medea-verse. And this one is like a family reunion group coming together, find out some family secrets, and of course Medea is there to give home wisdom, because and then one person dies, and that's kind of sad. But so it's all about family secrets trying to come together and how your family's nowhere near perfect or something.
It's all about family.
Yes. Vin Diesel did not show up.
And no Coronas?
No Coronas. That'd be great, though. Next, I watched the documentary The Aristocrats. Have you heard of that one?
Yes. That's so fun.
Oh, yes.
The Aristocrats.
All just on one dirty joke. Yeah,
I think it's interesting that this is like a inside thing that people stand-up comedians all knew about, and it's something that they all do. It was kind of an interesting look at inside the, just kind of the little clubhouse of stand-up comedians.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. And they got a nice variety of people there. It was fun to see even late period George Carlin and then Robin Williams there as well. So
and then Bob Saget being really dirty.
Bob Saget.
R.I.P. Bob Saget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad
that was
about
actually
that.
I heard about that after he passed away. That clip of him was being passed around from that doc. So I watched. That's one of the reasons I watched it. So yeah, and I also like how they had a fair amount of women in there as well. And I like Fred Willard. It's in his backyard holding his pipe and just trying to be all regal about it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the different take that all these comedians do for the same joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess the basic premise of the joke is man goes into a talent agent's office and he describes this show he does with his family, and then it's supposed to be as gross as possible, involving poop, pee, sex, whatever. Just the grossest stuff you can think of. And then what's the name of the show? The Aristocrats, because, they try and have it like a fun name. So, yeah, so then, it almost becomes a bit of a competition which comedians play with each other, who can tell the dirtiest version.
Right. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Next, I watched Medea's Witness Protection.
Oh, no. What Medea do?
Oh, well, this one, she didn't actually do anything. She's helping, because it turns out that has Eugene Levy and his family... Basically, Eugene Levy was set up to be a fall guy for this big corporation. People find out about it, and now turns out it was a money laundering operation for the mob. So then he has to go into the witness protection program so that he doesn't get attacked. So then his family goes and lives with Medea and Medea's brother Joe, because he's
Medea and Eugene Levy.
Yep, they play well off of each other. So that was kind of fun too.
Nice.
Yep, and then there are scenes, of course, where it's Medea and Brian and Joe, all played by Tyler Perry, talking to each other.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. And then I finished that cinematic masterpiece, and I moved on to Evil Toons.
Evil Toons?
Yeah, it's a Fred Olen Ray movie, so if you're
I don't know if I know that name.
Oh, you've probably seen one of his movies. He's made a million of them. It's almost like a Roger Corman-style B-movies with lots of boobs and lots of blood.
Okay, then I've probably seen something.
Yes. Also, he does have an Emmy.
Oh, nice.
So it's Emmy award-winning director Fred Olen Ray in Evil Toons. It's so basically there's this evil haunted mansion, and it starts out with this David Carradine with think of it's like the Necronomicon book, except worse, except not as fun as Evil Dead. Goes to a mansion or something, and then to help defeat the demon, he hangs himself. Which, if you know what happened to David Carradine, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And then also, the two highest billed actors in this film are David Carradine and Dick Miller.
Well, Dick Miller, I'm in.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Dick Miller. I've been in more crap than corn, as the old joke goes. So yeah, so
That
then
guy,
like
that guy, Dick Miller.
yep, so then Dick Miller like hires these four sexy young women to try and like clean up this mansion over a weekend, and then they find the evil book, and then when they read from the evil book, a cartoon character pops out from the evil book, Roger Rabbit style, and then starts attacking them. Except because it's a low budget movie, you barely see any of the cartoon, and then it just possesses someone, and then she's the evil one.
Okay, I'm looking through this Fred Olen Ray's like
Filmography, there's a lot.
filmography here, and half of his films are like B movies, just look like terrible looking B movies, and the other half are like Hallmark looking Christmas movies.
Hey, man stays busy. You gotta admire the hustle.
I love it.
Yeah, and he does have a primetime Emmy, so there's that. I did get
Very
to
nice.
see one of Fred Olen Ray's movies in theater once. So it was part of a like a midnight movie at the local independent theater film scene. It was called Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, and that one was
sweet.
like a detective movie going after like this ancient Egyptian chainsaw cult with a bunch of hookers.
I like it.
Yeah, so Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, check that one out. Next, I watched Red Notice, the film with The Rock, the Reynolds, and the Gal Gadot.
Hey, I talked about this one a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, I was glad I finally saw it. I really enjoyed it. I think they all played well off each other. It's fun to see Gal Gadot play a villain, and I hope she does more because she seemed like she was having a really good time.
Yeah, I think all three of them were. And it may be a forgettable plot, but you don't go into this for the plot. You go into this for their three interactions and seeing Reynolds and The Rock especially play off of each other. And I think that Gal Gadot did a good job of playing off of them too. So I had a lot of fun with this movie. I enjoyed it.
Yep. Then I watched Medea Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Kyle.
Oh, she got out of witness protection and
so
made it to Christmas.
Yep. This was basically Medea Saves Christmas. So it's like a Hallmark movie is happening in like a small town in Mississippi, and then Medea is there to save the town.
Awesome.
And then co-starring Larry the Cable Guy. And they have a lot in common.
That bumps the production value way up right there.
Yes, and then he even mentions Prilosec OTC at one point.
Oh my dear God.
Yes. So they go there. They go for it.
I gotta go all in, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Next, I watched the new Disney film Turning Red. Have you seen that one yet?
No, I really want to. So no spoilers about it being about the girl getting her period, I mean.
Okay. I think that one takes place in 2002 in Toronto, so there's some great 2000s nostalgia. So like she's really into boy band and she's got a Tamagotchi with her at all times.
Nice.
And there's some great, very creative sequences done with the transformation scenes with her as the red panda and then not the red panda. I definitely recommend that. And it's great because it's fun to see her and her her three friends just being goofy. You see like a bunch of, you really don't see like a bunch of young girls animated in that really goofy way, but so it's really kind of fun to see that. And the core of the film is definitely her relationship with her mom. So yeah, I think you would watch this one with your kids.
Oh, we're planning on. That's why I haven't seen it yet, because we're waiting to watch. Although my kids went and watched it with their friends, and I was like, I wanted to watch this on family movie night. They're like, we'll watch it again. I was like, sweet, okay,
nice.
So I'm excited for that one.
Next, I watched How to Murder Your Wife, starring Jack Lemmon. Have you heard of this one?
I don't know if I have.
So this is a 60s comedy where it's Jack Lemmon plays this cartoonist, like this nationally syndicated cartoonist. And he's got like this cool spy character named Bash Branigan. And the basic idea is like he always does what Bash Branigan does first and then draws it later after he has these experiences. So he's running around town causing all this chaos. So then people think, listen, his lawyer tells him, you got to settle down and get married. But of course, he doesn't want to get married. He's got this amazing bachelor lifestyle that it's like him and his butler, played by Terry Thomas, the extremely British character actor.
I don't know the name, but I'm sure I'd recognize him if I saw him.
He's very British and he's got like a gap teeth in front.
Okay.
Yeah, if you remember in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, he was the British guy, the anthropologist, like there for like science reasons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just so then he goes to a party, gets drunk, and then like a woman comes out of a cake, and then he wakes up the next morning, turns out they're married because like the local judge was there and then the mayor was there. It's a high society party of a bunch of men. So he wakes up next to this woman, they're married, and she finds out that she doesn't speak any English, and he can't speak any Italian. So then he ends up sort of slowly incorporating this into this cartoons, and then he's sort of unhappy that he gets married, and his butler is like about to leave him when he finds out he's married. It's like, I can't do this. I don't work for married men.
Okay.
Yep. So then they hatch this plot of like, okay, so I'm tired of being this. So then like the comic strip turns into like a goofy, like Blondie style comic strip about a married couple. It's like, you know what I need to do? We got to murder her in the comic strip. And then of course something happens where like she goes missing. So then they think because he wrote it into his comic strip and he's known for doing all the things his comic character would do, like, oh, she killed him. And then there's a big court scene.
And Jack Nicholson says, you can't handle the truth.
No, it's Jack Lemmon, but I wish it was Jack Nicholson too. But
you can't handle my tunes.
Yeah, so if you like Jack Lemmon, if you like sort of that 60s goofy style comedy, I definitely recommend it.
Well, that sounds right up my alley.
Yep, then I went back to Netflix and I watched The Atom Project.
Oh, how was that?
It was fun. It was, Ryan Reynolds time traveling, and then Mark Ruffalo was there too. So it's kind of
Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Garner, the little 13 going on 30
they did do
reunion.
They did do the picture on the couch, like at the end of the 13 going on 30. Behind the scenes. So that was kind of a fun. So so it was the 13 going on 30 reunion movie. So it looks like after they got married, he became a scientist and then invents time travel or whatever.
Awesome.
Yep. And then also Zoe Saldana shows up in a small role, but it's good to see her too. But yeah, if you like kind of goofy time travel action movies with like an old guy talking to like a Ryan Reynolds talking to his younger self, going on adventures, definitely good. I think it's made by Sean Levy as well, who, they just worked together in Free Guy, and I really liked Free Guy. So if you like Free Guy, so also some fun action in this one as well.
Yeah, I think I'll check this one out. Again, Ryan Reynolds if you go in just expecting, I mean, there are some people that are getting sick of his shtick and then don't watch it. But me, I like to sit back and just kick back with the Ryan Reynolds movie sometimes. So I like that he keeps coming out with this fun and different stuff with Free Guy and now a time travel movie. And I'm down for these.
Yep. And next up, I watched this movie about like a guy who's like really rich. But then he's also sad because like his parents died when he was like 8 or whatever.
No spoilers. I haven't seen it. I'm waiting for it to come to HBO Max.
And then like he dresses up as a bat and starts beating people up. So yes, I watched the Batman. So here we go again. And then this time he's going up against Paul Dano's Riddler. So Kyle, have you seen Zodiac?
Yes.
The Batman version of Zodiac.
Okay, I've been seeing a lot of this is the David Fincher Batman.
Yeah, and they're very much in that Zodiac style, where it's always feel like you're kind of like one step behind the master plan. And yeah, Robert Pattinson does a good job as Batman. Zoe Kravitz is a great Catwoman. Colin Farrell is there as like Mr. Bada Bing Bada Boom the Penguin.
I wish that they would the one thing I wish is that they would stop dipping into the same well of we've done the Penguin, we've done Catwoman a couple of times, we've done the Riddler already. And then there's even a deleted scene that came out this week with Barry Keoghan as the Joker, which, boy, am I glad they deleted that because I couldn't tell if it was the Joker or if we crossed over into the Dick Tracy universe with Mumbles.
I wish it was. I want my Batman Dick Tracy crossover.
Right. And I want it set in the 40s.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this because from the sounds of it, it's like the first time we actually get the actual great detective Batman. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yep. That Batman fellow. He's been in a few movies.
Do we get to see the death of the Waynes again?
No.
Martha and what's his face?
You know the story.
Yeah. Did they actually not put it in this one?
Yeah, they didn't put it in at all.
That's amazing.
Yeah, they skipped the origin story, which I think is nice. We've seen that enough.
Thomas and Martha.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why couldn't I come up with that? I'm like a huge I've been a Batman fan since I was like 5 years old.
Yep.
Well, sweet. I'm looking forward to that one. I heard that it was going to be on HBO Max like 45 days after its opening. So
yeah, who knows? Oh, hopefully it'll get there soon.
Yeah. So hopefully sometime in the next month or so.
I mean, I'm kind of jealous. You get to watch it. You get to pause and go to the bathroom Because it's long.
It's a 3-hour tour.
It's actually 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes shorter than Avengers Endgame.
Nice.
Next, I watched Sonic the Hedgehog.
I still haven't watched this, but I want to.
It's on Hulu.
Sweet. Because now they have a sequel coming out.
With Ben Schwartz as the voice of Sonic, and then James Marsden as like his human friend. Because whenever they do one of the movies where like a goofy character enters the real world, there's always got to be a human friend they can talk to.
Yep. I have a question. Why did James Marsden's career come to this? Because I actually like James Marsden. I think he's a good actor.
Yeah, it's almost like you'd think he'd be in bigger stuff, but who knows? Sometimes you just got to take a paycheck.
So, oh well.
So yes.
Was this enjoyable at least?
Yes, because it's Jim Carrey's playing the hits in this one. He's going back to the 90s, bro.
Awesome. I'm down for that.
That's Dr. Robotnik. Being weird, this is vintage Jim Carrey, which we haven't seen in a long time.
Awesome.
Yep.
I think it'll be fun.
And there's a tease at the end, of course, where we find out that who's also been there in the human world. It's Tails.
Ooh, is Tails and Knuckles going to come into Sonic 2? I think they are in Sonic 2.
Yeah, that they're in the trailers.
Yeah. So,
yep,
cool. And I just downloaded Sonic Racing on my PlayStation 4.
Nice. You said on your PlayStation 4, isn't that game with like N64 graphics?
Yeah, it was one of the PlayStation Plus free games this month, nice. But it's so much fun. It's like playing Mario Kart, only it's Sonic.
I played a lot of that. No, excuse me. I was thinking of Sonic R, whereas even before that. So Sonic Racing is actually a kart racer.
Yeah.
Sonic R was where it was just like you were just running.
Oh, okay. No, this is a car racer. It's very similar to like a Mario Kart.
Also, why does Sonic need a car if he can just run? Maybe his feet got tired. Who knows?
I guess. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's a fun game. So
that's all I watched. So what do you think you're going to watch next?
Hopefully another 1 or 2 Oscar noms before. I kind of want to watch Cruella still. That's up for costume. And I'm usually not big on those Disney remakes, but I don't know. I like Emma Stone, so I'm going to check that one out.
Cruella has one of the dumbest, yet also one of the best villain origin stories ever, because her mom was killed by Dalmatians.
Oh, boo.
Yes, but it's so great. It's so dramatic.
I don't know. I'm going to give this one a try, but that I might be watching that one soon. So, what about you?
As for me, I watched part of this already today. But I need to finish Pinocchio, A True Story. Did you see this trailer floating around online?
No.
So this is like some low-budget animated movie. I believe it's from like Eastern Europe. But in the English dub, they have Pauly Shore as the voice of Pinocchio.
What?
Pauly Shore, and then John Heder as like his best friend who's a talking horse.
Okay.
It's like,
this is a real thing?
This is a real movie. You can rent it on Amazon Prime for $5.99.
Pauly Shore and John Heder still exist?
Yes.
All right, I'll just believe you on that one. I'll just trust you.
Okay, you should look it up online because it's the trailer's great. Because Pauly Shore is definitely being Pauly Shore. Father, wait! I want to experience the real world.
All right, I don't know what to say about that. Pauly Shore as Pinocchio.
The casting you never thought would come true.
This is my conscience, buddy.
And anyway, so you can find us online and on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Noah_Saturn. That is spelled Satern.
And I am at AwesomeKM. And we're on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. Email us, we don't know what to watch @gmail.com. And like, subscribe, comment below. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. And until next time, keep watching.
And gotta go fast, because I'm Sonic the Hedgehog.
Aristocrats!
Yes, the aristocrats.